Hello and welcome to the Inner Gamer On. My name is Brett Yanofsky.
I'm Austin Morales.
I'm Devin Duree.
I'm Luis Gonzalez.
Oh, Luis.
Hey.
Luis. Oh, hi,
What
Luis.
up, man?
Hello, fellas. I'm fresh off of a couple of laps of go-karting. My
Very
butt
nice.
hurts, but I'm ready.
Real life
For quite
go-karting.
possible.
Did
Possibly
you
the best
throw
episode
an
of
actual
the year.
turtle shell at someone?
Yes, turtle shells happen.
I would have.
Oh yeah, I would have too. It's awesome. It's super cool. So today we are going to talk about our Game of the Year 2017 discussion. It is finally here. The end of the year
We made
is
it.
coming soon. We've made it. It's been a whirlwind of craziness. Lots of good, a little bit of bad, some big bad,
It's
but
been
a lot
kind
of
of feast or
good.
famine this year. It's
Yeah.
either been like a really amazing quality or just not that.
Exactly. So we are going to do similar to what we did last year, in which we're going to go through different categories such as best first-person shooter, best RPG, things like that. Everybody's got a pick of their own, and it's going to be really exciting because we have a lot of different picks as well. So it'll be
There's a
good little
lot of wide
topic here.
varieties in here.
Exactly.
It's good.
And then at the very, very end, we're going to come in with our Game of the Year choice for each of us, and that's going to be what we're going to do. So it's going to be a great episode to stick with because there's a lot of coverage here, and it's over 330 or 40 days of
Let's dive
time.
in.
So let's do it. So our first category is going to be best first-person shooter. Actually, let's rephrase that to be best shooter because we don't want to like confine it necessarily to just first person, but just a shooter in
The
general.
best shooters.
Yes. So
Best shooter for the year.
Exactly. So I'm not going to start. I'm going to let somebody else take it over. So Austin, let's start with you. Actually,
Okay.
What's your best shooter?
I went with Destiny 2. They refined it. They made it pretty fun. I mean, it was already pretty good to begin with, but yeah, I had a lot of fun running around, shooting all the Covenant lookalikes and stuff like that.
That exists? They don't. Have
Yeah,
to look
right.
alike. What
Oh
are you
no,
talking
yeah, that's
about?
right. They're not. No, the Fallen are nothing like the Covenant.
Exactly. Awesome. So Devin, what is your pick?
Wolfenstein, my friend.
Really?
Full jacked up action and dual wielding giant ARs or sniper rifles for whatever reason. But yeah, just awesome shooting Nazis.
Yes.
It's been amazing. Like of everything I played so far this year, that's just it. That one's the one that's got me most white knuckle gaming.
Yeah, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you go over to our website, theinnergamer.net/151. The number is 151, and you'll be able to listen to Devin's recount of finishing Wolfenstein. So that's going to be pretty
Spoiler
awesome.
free.
Spoiler free indeed. Lots of Nazi killing. Lots of Nazi
You do
killing.
kill a lot of Nazis. That
Yeah.
one's one that's pretty much given.
Hell yeah. Louise, what would be your pick for best shooter of the year?
That would be Wolfenstein 2, brother.
All right.
Wolfenstein 2, man. It's Devin pretty much hit it on the head. It's heavy. It feels good to play, and it's not particularly inventive in terms of what it can do, but it just feels solid every time you're shooting Nazis, taking down big mechanical monsters, and just really going about and having fun, man. And it's also got a whole lot of other supporting elements that make it really, really great. But at the end of the day, man, Wolfenstein 2, it was just, it could have even been jotted down as one of my biggest surprises of the year and a dark horse, as we'll see later, for Game of the Year for at least myself. But Wolfenstein 2, first-person shooter, there was a few, but this one definitely shined the most.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's great.
Man, so now we're back to me.
What'd you
And
do?
My shooter choice of the year is Destiny 2, simply because I feel like of all the shooters that are out there, I still think that Destiny has captured the essence of what a shooter should be in terms of just like the core shooter mechanics, and they've pretty much perfected it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty spot on.
Like the
And
rest of the mechanics
solid.
in the game, like the end game may not be a lot of fun, and the raid
Exactly,
might not
yeah.
have like what it used to be kind of stuff. But at least like at its core, the shooter element of Destiny is absolutely solid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
And I still want to get it on PC just to see how it compares on the PC level.
Yeah,
Because that's where if they got it right there, that's an impressive feat for them because it's been a long time since they've done a PC game. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have to try that out. But yeah, Destiny 2, that's my shooter of the year. So there
Very
we go.
cool.
Next category we have is going to be our best multiplayer game of the year. This means a game that you play, obviously, online. And we have some awesome ones, but I think it's mostly unanimous here. So,
almost
Austin,
unanimous.
what do you got for best multiplayer?
Hands down, PUBG. Put a crap load of hours into this game. I've had a lot of fun with most of my friends who do PC gaming. So I just jump on. I can find a group easily. We go in. We kick ass. Get some chicken.
Winner.
Chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett, you picked the same thing?
I did actually. Yeah, I picked PUBG as well because PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is the game I have spent the most time on this year by far, which is weird to say.
That is weird.
I've played a lot of that game, not in comparison to other people and the games that they put in, like Zelda. Like I'm sure you guys have like 50 or 60 hours in Zelda or more.
Right.
And I don't. But this game I have 60 hours in. I've made it there. So I feel like I've definitely clocked in a lot of good solid time in there. And it's just, I mean, it's the moments. It's the moments that can't be replicated. That's what makes this such a good multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And it's a game that has to be played with friends. Like solo is just not the same, but multiplayer, man, it's legit.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Luis also picked PUBG.
Yeah, I can't think of another game that kind of reinvigorated that initial infatuation with multiplayer back in the Xbox days when Halo came around, when the original Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 came around. I was always itching to jump in and play this game with friends, and so much so that a couple of my buddies actually got their PCs to modern standards just to play with me.
Nice.
And it was just a very interesting kind of. I mean, it's died down a little bit, I'd say. More people are playing it now, but that's just because there's more copies out there. But that said, PUBG is multiplayer is just. I mean, it's got its flaws, and I say its flaws. There's a lot more than probably it's good with the game, at least in my opinion. But multiplayer wise, it's unmatched, man. It's very tough to find something that'll bring people together like this game did.
All right.
Very nice. Very nice. So
I'm the
Devin,
one off, man.
you're the odd man out.
I don't have a PC. Sorry, so I couldn't pick it. But
Don't be sorry. You.
well,
you pull in.
I thought about one that like I knew was going to be a good multiplayer. That I knew that what I played over the year, and I went back to an old fan favorite. I went back to Overwatch.
Nice.
I mean, we know the game came out last year, but it keeps releasing new content. We keep seeing new characters, new maps. Just over this past month, we've gotten back into it again, and it's still just amazing. It amazes me how fun this game remains.
Yeah.
Of people of all different skills, all the different characters you get to choose from, whether they new or old characters or characters who have been completely retooled. It's still amazing.
Yeah.
It still holds my attention.
You know, it's funny because, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about their game of the year predictions coming up and stuff like that. And some people argue that, Overwatch can't fall in that category because it's from last year. But I think it's still completely relevant because this games as a service thing has made it to where Overwatch this year still feels new because there's a boatload of content that came out this year that totally changed the game. I mean,
is it still the same game technically if it keeps releasing new content?
Right.
Consistently.
Yeah, that whole thing's gonna be shifting a lot. In 5 years, we'll be like, man, what is the game of the year of 2023?
Game of the year was one that came out 5 years ago.
Overwatch is game of the year 2023. I don't know, probably not, but it's it's definitely holding strong still, which it's impressive. It's an impressive feat for sure. Our next category, best RPG or role playing game. This is such a hard one. I feel
this was tough.
Because there was a lot of good role-playing games, really good role-playing games that came out. So let's go with Devin. Actually, I want to hear your best RPG.
Zelda. From the moment you guys got me that Switch to the time I powered it up, turned on Zelda, and went all the way to the end, just amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. As far as RPG elements, I mean, it's all there, whether you're putting stuff into your gear or all the different weapons that you find. I've yet to find another game that can replicate or one that it drew inspiration from as far as its inventory system. Like that was just so funny to me, just how it happened. And in regards to all the different skills you can utilize, like cooking and finding new recipes, and the people that you interact with from the role playing standpoint of all the different characters that you come across, it's been fun. It's been so fun, and I think back fondly on that one a lot.
Awesome. Do you think you'll play through it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely one of those. Like Zelda games are one of those. Like I have to find a moment in time when like I look back and go, I haven't played Zelda in a while. I think I'm going to do that. I think this is one of those titles that I'll do that with.
Nice. Very nice.
Absolutely. This is definitely a replay like every couple of years or so.
Yeah. That's cool.
Heck yeah.
Louise, what would be your pick for our best RPG?
So RPG nowadays also kind of it teeters on the line between RPG and action adventure. A lot of games do. Breath of the Wild is probably for me more action adventure. For example, Horizon Zero Dawn for me is more action adventure.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed Origins more action adventure, but every game has RPG elements now. So I try to think more in the realm of like a dedicated, exclusive, almost just RPG. There's no real other elements associated with it. This could have been for me anything from Zelda to Horizon, but I ended up going with Divinity 2. So Divinity Original Sin 2, the sequel to the much lauded Divinity Original Sin on PC. Divinity Original Sin 2 basically just built upon everything that made the first game great, made it much more accessible, and added in the ability to really make the experience of traversing this world really your own. And there really hasn't been an RPG like it since the first one, and one that hits it so far out of the park. It's just a ridiculous game. I think as far as ratings go, it was probably like the third highest rated game of the year on Metacritic, behind only Zelda and Mario Odyssey, which is a feat in itself.
That's impressive.
It's an incredible game. Wishing that more people played it. It's not necessarily for everyone, but if you're a diehard Dungeons and Dragons fan, RPG fan, you like turn-based exploratory sort of isometric games, you'd love this game, and that's why I'm selecting it as my RPG of the year, hands down.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I still want to get into that because I keep seeing things come up all the time about
it's the best,
how much they love it and how like diverse it is.
To a digital form, man. It's so good.
That's awesome. Austin, RPG of the year.
Yeah, Divinity was up there. I didn't play enough of it to really. I got my feet wet, but I feel like I need to dive in it more to really get the nuances of that game, which is a fun game. But I went with AC Origins. Yeah, it could be labeled an action adventure, which is probably its highest subset of it. But they added some new RPG elements, and they really resonated with me. And I had a lot of fun traversing the world and diving into the inventory system and choosing new gear and leveling up and getting those new talents and opening those talent trees. And I can't say enough good things about Origins. It's also one of my biggest surprises, but it's not on this list, sadly.
Yeah,
for that.
I feel like this is the first Assassin's Creed that can be considered in the RPG category,
right?
Because it is finally more so an RPG than it's ever been. I mean, before it wasn't an RPG.
This seems like a very refined and well thought out, and very like there's a lot of meat to it as far as the game itself. So it's
they've done a
good
good job.
That this is getting it seems like this is really getting some good feedback.
Yeah, I started playing it like 5 minutes, and then that's as far as I got. It was late at night, and I was trying to jump into it. I couldn't yet. So that's gonna be my Christmas thing. Is
nice.
We're gonna be jumping through some AC.
A lot of hours on that.
That's
game.
Yes. So my RPG game is and like Louise mentioned, it is kind of, I would probably consider it like an RPG light, I guess. But for me, RPGs are not my go-to. Obviously, there's a lot to them, but Horizon Zero Dawn had that approachable enough RPG elements that I could understand it and enjoy it. But like that game just was fantastic. I played so much of that game, and I probably played like 25 hours without even getting through like 15% of the story or something like that.
That was crazy.
Just like rummaging around, like finding cool stuff, like hidden
Shooting
secrets and things like that. Yeah, it was
plucking
just
feathers off of pheasants and whatnot. Yeah,
it was nuts. But that game was really good. I like that. It got way more challenging as time went on. I mean, incredibly challenging once like the world opened up and you could start exploring everywhere. Like I felt like the difficulty level like jumped up hardcore, but every like item that you had and you have to like craft and stuff like that, like every weapon had such an integral part in the game to win these intense boss battles and sequences that were just, I mean, there was a lot of thought that went into how you approach taking these guys down. And I really like that. And it was good. The story was good. The game was beautiful. A lot of good stuff happened there. So yeah, that's best RPG right there. So next one we have is, man, is this a tough one? Best indie game of the year.
I'm glad we're saying that about this category.
Yeah,
that makes me happy.
Right? Yeah, it's
tough.
This was
a really, really tough.
Such a challenge. And I want to start with Austin on this one because we all have different picks, and I'm really glad about that.
Yeah.
But Austin, what is your best indie game?
I think we almost agree on all of them.
Yeah, like
to a point, but
every single one of these
difficult.
indie games are great.
Yeah.
So for me, it was it was the battle against Hellblade and What Remains of Edith Finch. But I feel like What Remains of Edith Finch is much more digestible and can resonate in more people than Hellblade. So with all the small stories that's in there and the little like vignettes of different people that this girl goes on in this her old like house, like remembering her family was just so unique with every story told. And then as a whole, it pretty much is a masterpiece. Sound design, character development, story, gameplay,
and like
for just a walking simulator.
Every single person's in the family tree, everyone's story played differently. No two were like the same.
Right.
Everything felt real and
beautiful, just beautiful.
It was really good. Louise, what's your game of the year or your indie game choice?
I feel like I didn't really play that many indie games this year. But that said, I mean, I played some Night in the Woods. I played a little bit of Little Nightmares when it came out on PlayStation. But the one that stuck out to me was Cuphead. I mean, that's the one I played from start to finish. I mean, Divinity 2 is technically an indie game as well. But I went with Cuphead just because it seemed to have caught a lot of people by surprise. I mean, it was very anticipated, but I don't think people were really expecting it to be as good as it was and as enjoyable as it was. But yeah, Cuphead, it's a great game. They're going to be coming out with the second one, and I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. Yeah. Wait, they are coming out with a second one?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It'll be a long time.
Yeah,
it'll be a while.
It'll be for a while.
Man,
Yeah.
it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. They did go with
That might be my game to finish for 2017.
That's a good one. We
Yeah,
should
I'll
do
do
co-op
that
on
one.
that.
Yeah.
We should make that happen.
Do you want to do
Heck yeah.
co-op because I'll help you beat it?
Exactly. Otherwise, I won't be able to beat it.
Yeah.
So
Dude, this game's
my
freaking
pick
hard,
for
dude.
yeah, dude, it's super challenging from what I've seen. And then when they made that video animation of Dark Souls, I was like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's just like Dark Souls. It's terrible. So my pick was extremely hard because you had Edith Finch and you had
played a lot of indie games this year.
Yeah,
Like
I did.
you personally played a lot.
Because I like them because they're shorter and I can go through numbers and
You can blast through them a lot quicker.
can blast them a lot easier. But the one I played the most and the one that I felt resonate with me still, this came out back in February, but Night in the Woods definitely is the one that gets my vote. And this was like such a surprise as well. So I didn't know much about it, didn't know what to expect from it. And it's a very simple game. The gameplay, there's not much to the gameplay. It's just basically walk your character left and right through the same town and interact with people. But that had such a personal story that really, really resonated with me.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I wasn't as necessarily relatable, but I could understand and empathize with that character so much. So like a cat coming back home to her town that's like completely changed from when she left. She was struggling with school, so she came back home to leave school, and it was just this whole, kind of it's got the same essence of Life is Strange. Like
really
I
felt
put
like
it in
it
the same
had
exact
a profound effect on you.
Yeah, it really did, and it's so good, so good. So that's my pick is Night in the Woods. It's good stuff. So
Well, I went with the one that I don't think I could shut up about.
Oh no, you could not.
I couldn't. Little Nightmares.
Still can't.
Man, I can't. No, it's fantastic. It was just that creepy Tim Burton style music and atmosphere. It was the expansion that the DLC that came out as well. You know, just everything that came with this game was something that just had me and just completely enthralled. And yeah, it's only like it can be less than an hour long if you really run through it, but it still just had such an effect on me. Trying to pick together like what was going on and piecing together all like the pieces because there's no spoken words in it, and you just have to like find out what's going on just from you playing. And it gripped me from day one. And between its art style, its soundtrack, the soundtrack alone was worth buying just on its own. It's an amazing soundtrack. So that was my pick. Sorry, I couldn't shut up about it again.
No, yeah, you were.
It's a good game.
I had to pick this up because of how much like I heard you talk about it, and then a lot of people have been like going to that game because it was a game that they missed throughout the year, and they're like, I just wanted to play Little Nightmares and give it a try, and they're impressed. It's surprised a lot of people.
Very well done.
Yeah. So our next category is going to be best narrative. So we're talking story here. What is a game that told the best story in the best possible ways? And
guess what?
Yeah,
we're unanimous.
We are unanimous. So who wants to say what the best narrative is across the board?
Just say it, Brett.
All
It's
right.
all you.
Wolfenstein 2.
Yep.
The New Colossus.
Oh yeah.
That got it. I don't know what. Oh my gosh! You're like
Damn.
shirts open, everything. This guy's like
Stripping over here.
he's
like the pocket button's open, and that just
Start ripping off your shirt. And
just completely shirtless. Oh, it's great. Let's talk about it.
that's what he does when he thinks about BJ Blazkowicz.
I know, right?
Man.
Start ripping my shirt off.
No, it's the narrative for as simple as someone might think it is, and I mean, Luis, you might be able to help me kind of articulate this better, but just the idea that it's not just about killing Nazis, even though that is obviously a large portion of it. There's so much more that goes into it, and there's so much more narrative there to be had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just like you were saying, not just about that. It comments on the things that were going on at the time. It's even kind of eerily similar to aspects of what's going on in the States nowadays. Not necessarily at the exact level, but some of the hesitancy on behalf of the government, some of the just the scaredness within the populace that kind of runs around America, and of course the whole North Carolina? I forgot where it was. The whole the Nazi rally and all that kind of stuff. So
I think that was North Carolina.
Charlottesville, North Carolina.
Yeah, eerily topical in a year that we shouldn't really be topical. You know, it's always been a game about just killing Nazis. And
Yeah.
I mean, the original Wolfenstein released in the 80s, and it was a shocker then, but it's no one thought much of it then. And the fact that it can come out now and somewhat create a dialogue, even though it didn't sell all that well, I think it very much deserves best narrative, and
Absolutely.
it's just gripping, man. Just so gripping.
oh yeah.
I'll be anxious to see the sales numbers after like Black Friday and Christmas and stuff like that. To see if people, because I saw a lot of people picking it up at Black Friday, that and Evil Within 2. They were like waiting for like the sale moment to pick it up. So I hope people did pick it up, because there's no reason they shouldn't be picking it up.
Well, my
It's
Cyber
so
Monday
good.
pickup on it was the game plus the bonus pack that came along with it, and the
DLC.
yeah.
Nice.
Hell yeah, I
Very
can't
nice.
wait.
Oh man, I don't care. I'm gonna love every bit of that.
Oh yeah,
For those watching and didn't listen to the podcast, me and Devin talked about how there are certain moments in Wolfenstein that we couldn't believe were in this game. They're very, very personal and in your face, and you can't believe what's going on.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in video games very often.
There's plenty of moments where there's a lot of high intensity action of shooting, but there's just some parts in there where you're talking with either an NPC or just a cutscene, and you're just like gripping the controller like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
Oh,
Very uncomfortable and
no. Yes. And
shivers
then
down
just
your
moments that
spine.
just get you jazzed up, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, a huge applaud to the voice actors for this game because it was just perfectly executed.
That's awesome. So speaking of voice actors and everything, the next category we have is best performance or acting. And this is specifically a character in any of the games that came out this year. What do we feel was the best performance? So I want to go with Louise first because you and Devin have the same pick. Tell me what your best performance is for 2017.
Yep. BJ Blazkowicz, the main character and protagonist of Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. He's just it's more of a comparative performance thing. If you've played The New Order and The Old Blood, BJ was pretty standard. He wasn't particularly round as a character. He just was kind of angry all the time and wanting to kill Nazis. And that's not to say he shouldn't be or anything, but there was very little show of emotion. I mean, you didn't really understand BJ as a person. And I think Wolfenstein 2 was able to frame him more as a character that had a past versus someone who just woke up one day and decided to kill Nazis. And I think that played very well into the voice actor. I think his name is David Bloom's
David
ability.
Brian Bloom.
Brian Bloom.
Brian Bloom. There you go. His ability to actually be BJ Blazkowicz, and it all goes back to the way the game starts and ends, and all the ups and downs in between. I think he did a fantastic job in kind of taking over this gritty character, especially in that one scene in that particular place that is not on this particular planet, where he actually gets to play himself, which is hilarious, but also just very telling of how these people view BJ Blazkowicz, and by these people I mean Nazis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think there was a lot of opportunity, and I know there's a few other performances. I think the ladies of the Lost Legacy were fantastic as well.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wish I could say that Zelda was up there too, but it's definitely not. It wasn't very good voice acting wise. But anyway, BJ Blazkowicz just oh man.
Yeah.
I still think about that character to this day.
What he's an American man. American.
He is American through and through. Like what you really think, like if you had taken like a very dark, gritty Captain America, you've got BJ Blazkowicz right there.
I mean, he should just his skin color should just be red, white, and blue.
That blows my mind. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If Captain America was willing to bury a hatchet into a Nazi skull, that's what BJ Blazkowicz is.
Yeah. What nationality is he?
He's Texan.
No, Blazkowicz. Like what? That's his.
His mom is Jewish.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm curious about that because like we might be related in some way. I don't know. You never know.
He's a fictional character, Brett.
Well, what about you two? You two chose the same one.
We both
we did.
chose Melina Jurgens. Yeah, Jurgens from Hellblade.
Jurgens.
So the reason I chose this, and it was very hard, because BJ Blazkowicz, I'm with you guys. Like, he is amazing character, great voice acting. But Melina Jurgens, she doesn't have an acting background. And she was actually just on to edit and make behind-the-scenes videos for Ninja Theory. And they're like, hey, can you stand in? Hey, and they kept asking her, hey, stand in. Hey, can you act this out for us? And before you knew it, they're like, oh my God, you're this girl, you're this character. Do you want to play her? So she did. No acting background, play this game. She did a stellar performance, and she did mocap, and she got in shape for the role. Like, she became this character.
Wow.
You don't see that in video games very often. Usually just pull someone, who has like a well-known name, like Nolan North.
You pull voice talent.
Yeah.
Popular voice talent.
Boom. Throw him in a mocap suit and be like, all right, let's do this. We've been doing this for years. This is an amazing performance from this actress.
What he said. No, I picked the same thing. I didn't play the game yet, but I've seen enough and read enough about this character and like her impact on the game, and it sounds like she's like made this. She's like a lot of the reason for the game. That and like the sound and like the theme behind the whole thing. Like those two things like made this game what it is, and it's a big part goes to the acting behind it. So, I like it a lot. Our next category, this is another tough one. This is going to be our best music and or sound design.
Yeah.
So this can be both categories, but in general, we're talking audio here. And I just changed mine, but I'll talk about that later. But actually, let's do Devin. Devin, let's hear, what is your best music or sound design?
Zelda Breath of the Wild
Why?
soundtrack.
All right.
And when you talk about the full scope, and yeah, with just the sounds that were in it, you have no dialogue, which whatever. You have very little, I guess I should say, but the music.
Yeah.
The music got me. Like in the areas that you went to visit, music captured it, man. Just nailed what like every area's atmosphere, and was very evocative of all these different feelings and memories, and like it just felt very Zelda. And I will still play some of that music in my head, just like randomly.
Right.
Like the mysterious dungeons that you would go into, like you could still play that in your head. Like, ooh, man, that really captures mysterious, and I've just loved it.
I picked the same. I go with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Same reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Louise, what is your pick for best music or sound design?
Yeah, Zelda was my 1B. Odyssey was my 1A because Mario music, it transcends time. It's some of the most iconic musical numbers or sound effects. They all come from Mario games. And somehow in 2017, Nintendo was able to do it again. I knew the second that I started the first level of, I say the first level, I'm not talking about the Hat Kingdom or whatever. I'm talking about the prehistoric first level. The
Cascade
second
Kingdom?
there you go, Cascade Kingdom. The second you get into Cascade Kingdom, I knew once that song started playing that Super Mario Odyssey was going to win it again for me this year. It's tough because Breath of the Wild, like you said, Devin, it does so much with very little. It's only sound effects. It's the trees rustling. It's the grass moving. It's birds chirping and the wind blowing. Like just a ridiculous amount of attention to those small details. But when you look at Odyssey from a purely orchestral standpoint, from a purely even from a nostalgic standpoint, remixing old music and bringing back old sound effects. It's not something that any game can just do and expect people to be like, oh yeah, I remember that. It's more of think about it. Some of the most iconic sounds are the star power up or
grabbing coins.
The original Super Mario Bros. Theme. Think about, for example, Metal Gear Solid though. Ring! When you fucking get caught in Metal Gear Solid, like there's sound effects like that exist. I can't really say for certain that Zelda has just as many. There's probably like when you open up a treasure chest, for example, small things like that. But Super Mario Odyssey was able to, for me, bring all of those things together while also building on it with just stellar. Oh, and then the theme song, dude.
Oh my god, it's almost
Hell yeah.
it's so emotional.
lame but so great.
Oh, I love it. I don't care. I love every second of it. That was my 1B actually, was Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
And it's just really a testament to Nintendo. They know what they need to provide the gamer in terms of sound and music for them to really kind of get immersed in these worlds. And that first one, just oh my god! And then of course that whole sequence. Have we all beaten the game?
Yes.
No.
So we're on it.
That one sequence at the end of New Donk City when you that one sequence that's sold it for me.
The festival, man.
It's one of the best memories I've had in a video game in a long time. So
that's awesome.
Odyssey hands down, and this was this one was important to me too. Music and sound design. It's always a overlooked sometimes aspect of video games. So.
Yeah, I was gonna put my 1B, or it was my 1A, and then became my 1B was Hellblade, simply because of that game was largely based around sound, the voices speaking to you and everything. Right. But when I thought about Super Mario Odyssey, just the whole entire package of everything, I mean, that's one of those games that every single sound has a very iconic effect. Mm-hmm. But then when you think about every character that's in there as well and how different, they have their own personality just based on the sounds that they make. When you take over a character and you're controlling them for even a brief second, they have character because of their sound and like what the noises they make and things like that. And the music is fantastic. Like that trailer, when they revealed that trailer in New Donk City with that like, you know, old school sounding theme song and all that, like that was so cool and so different. And yeah, I mean, Super Mario Odyssey, it's got some great stuff. I mean, I love getting moons.
Good picks
Hearing
this
that
year.
sound.
I mean,
Hell
damn.
yeah. So the next category we have is going to be our best studios. So studios that outshined others this year in terms of just everything they are as a studio. And this one's interesting. We have almost unanimous one, but I'm going to start with Austin because you have the different one here.
Yeah,
This makes no sense.
I went with Ninja Theory because
This makes no sense.
I went with Ninja Theory because one, on top of the game that they made about this subject of mental illness, they went beyond. They went beyond and decided to be like, hey, we're going to donate and we're going to give back to the community and help organizations that help with mental illness. And on top of that, not only since they're independent studio, they went and learned new things to help develop this game, like mocap. They even created their own software, if I'm not mistaken, to make this game as good as it can be, and it shines. And people were comparing this game with Mass Effect Andromeda, and how the mocap and facial animations of this game
good.
Outshine. Yeah, BioWare's plethora of money budget, and it's just like, how are you kidding me? Like, how is this small company do that? And for me, like they nailed it. They fucking nailed it.
So there's the opposing idea, but everybody else pretty much went with Nintendo because I feel like Nintendo has I mean, come on. Like, look at 2017. Like, Nintendo is, like, across the board. I mean, all these games that came out, like Zelda and Odyssey and even ARMS, and then the re-release of Mario Kart, and, like...
just everything the Switch has brought to
it's changed
the market
everything.
This year alone. Just, I mean, even games as simple as 1-2 Switch, Nintendo has killed it this year. Big AAA titles with a lot of fun. Zelda, Mario, Splatoon 2. I haven't put my Switch down this year. I haven't. I've brought my Switch with me to work every single day.
And we're podcasting. This guy's sitting over here playing the Switch.
I
so
know,
I'm
right?
like, man, you just can't get away.
Can't stop, won't stop.
There you go. Louise, you picked the same, so I'm sure.
No, you hit it on the head, man.
Yeah.
Like, Nintendo needed to have a bounce back year, and they came out with probably their best year ever. And
They came out
literally
swinging.
Probably their best year ever. And I'm talking about purely from a video game perspective, in the eyes of the public perspective. They just did everything right, except for maybe, I don't know, not releasing enough SNES classics or something. But even then, people are still, no one can shut up about Nintendo.
Yeah.
No one. Everyone's like, oh, is that Switch thing? I'm like, yeah, it is. How the hell did you know that? They're like, well, I saw it on the news or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason why Nintendo stock is at an all-time high, why people won't shut up about it, why the Switch was the best-selling console of Black Friday, and why Super Mario Odyssey was the best-selling Amazon video game of the whole year. And that's because there's only like 7 million Switches out there.
Best-selling
Nintendo-
console that wasn't on sale, which is even more amazing.
And that's another
Good
thing.
price point,
Like,
though.
Like, yes, there's been a lot of. You can even go saying Koei Tecmo, right? Like Neo was a great game too, and they released a couple of other games throughout the year as well. But Nintendo was just unmatched, man. And
Killed
I don't
it.
think anyone. I mean, Sony would probably be second, a pretty distant second, because Sony released a lot of very, very, very good games this year as well. But Nintendo, man, I'm glad they're on their feet again, and I'm glad I have this Switch in my hands. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So our next category here is going to be the best art direction. This is the visual style of the game and everything about it, the presentation, the art, and all of that. And I think for me, this definitely is going to go to Cuphead because it stands out amongst everything this
I'm the odd
year.
man out on this one. Yeah, everybody had Cuphead.
It's just like, I mean, who would have thought that a 1920s like style cartoon would be such a cool looking game?
Right.
and they killed it with that art style so well. And yeah, I mean, Cuphead, beautiful.
So I'm out. Go for it.
Odd man out. I went with Destiny 2.
No, actually, that's a pretty good pick, though.
Well,
I mean, it's up
Destiny
there.
2 took everything that I loved from Destiny 1 and moved it over, and then fixed all the other things I was so pissed off about. Lens flare. So, but it did exactly what I needed it to do. It punched up everything in color, so we saw some more vibrant colored planets. We also got to see, you know, the characters themselves and all the new like ultimates or the big power-ups that they can do. They looked really cool, and just everything aesthetically with Destiny 2 was right on the money. Even going as far as like the raid, for all of its faults, mechanically, aesthetically, the Destiny 2 nailed it. Like just the opulence of that freaking castle in the raid. Like that's just
that was pretty.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
super pretty.
yeah. So it was really something that I needed to see while trying to defend it against you. Was just like, please let this just be a beautiful game. And it was.
It was a very beautiful
Yeah.
game.
The art style was pretty solid in
Yeah.
there. Just like stopping and like looking at some of the spaces you walk into.
please.
I
How
was
could you
just like,
stop on your
man.
Sparrow and just be like,
Yeah. You didn't have much time to do that when you were like being shot at from like a million different directions.
Correct.
But when you did, you were like, man, there's some good.
When you
level of
finally got your
attention there.
Sparrow, when you finally
finally got it.
got it,
Damn it.
Yeah.
just walking around.
So, Louise, any thoughts on your pick of Cuphead for art direction?
It was just beautiful, man. Even the music was really good. That was probably my second for music and sound design. Like it was so completely different from anything. Like there's really no comparison that you can put this game up against. Like there's no other game that looks anything like it,
Right.
and no game that even it's just ridiculous, man. Like Cuphead was a good game, but it was made much better because of its art direction and because it was just so pretty to look at. Hand drawn, every single animation was hand drawn. They basically took a 1920s 30s style of animation where they just had a bunch of animators in a room drawing frame after frame, and they just put it in a video game, and that's why it took so long, but it paid off for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Awesome. So our next category is gonna be between me and Austin here, I believe, and it's unanimous. But best virtual reality game. This is there wasn't as much talk about virtual reality this year, but it definitely goes to Robo Recall. I think.
Oh yeah.
Because that game was, of all the games that came out this year in virtual reality, it was the most complete. It wasn't. It was still kind of almost like a tech demo, but not a bit. It went far enough to have a little bit of story, a little bit of like longevity to it. You know, things like that. And it just like hit the nail on the head with the VR experience. Like that would not
it's
be
everything that a VR experience
anything-
should be.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just give me that freaking arm and just bash into robots' heads. That's all I want to do.
It was really quirky, surprisingly. On top of the intense action that you have to dive into, and they have the slow mo, don't they? I forget now. It's been a while. now
Because you can like capture the robots, or not the robots, the
bullets
rockets.
and
the
throw 'em
bullets.
back.
Yeah, and just like throw them back at them and pop them in the head with it.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
fun.
It was pretty legit.
You got an Oculus, you got to get it.
Heck yeah. Next one. Action adventure game. Best action adventure game.
I'm the odd one out.
You're the odd one out this time.
You are the odd one out. So Austin.
Oh, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild much more than y'all's picks.
It's okay.
I did enjoy y'all's pick, but just like Brett was in Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm like that in Breath of the Wild, where you can start the story mission, but then you get lost in the world, and then you go back. You're like, where have I been for the last 20 hours? I need to go complete mission 2. You just
I think I was on a mission to go get blue flame somewhere.
right, yeah.
Ended up raiding about 3 dungeons.
There was a princess
Interesting.
involved. I forgot. Anyway,
Whoops.
I got lost in the world. I just did so much stuff, and I couldn't put it down once I had my Switch. So that's why I have 80 hours in Breath of the Wild.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody else here picked Super Mario Odyssey
Duh.
for good reason. I mean, action adventure. I mean, this is just so good. And I got lost in this game.
Yeah.
This is the game
Okay.
I get
Well,
lost
it's good.
in.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Which is hard
And
for you to ever get lost in a game.
I know. It really is. And this one just got so many good things happen with it. Just I'm walking around. I'm like, oh, look at this. Like I wanted to adventure a lot, and I did, and I still will.
Well, and it had to me the best variety of adventure,
Right.
whether it's all the different kingdoms from the Cascade, Lake, Oceanside, even the Forgotten Kingdoms, like with the big battle with the big epic dragon, like all of that, just like it was such the right kind of adventure, and it felt so true to form for Mario.
Did y'all say what? Okay, good.
Yeah,
I was like, did y'all say what it was?
Yes, it was Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we said it.
For those who didn't know.
So,
It's Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah.
I mean, Luis, do you share the same sentiment, I assume?
Yep. Odyssey was just the perfect game to come out at the time that it did. It was basically the top, like, the hat on, what is it? The cherry on top of an incredible year.
Yeah.
It's the fact that this and Zelda came out in the same year is already ridiculous. But, and I knew Odyssey was going to be a good game, but like this good, Jesus, man. Like, I think right now it's tied for the best Metacritic rated game as far as Mario's go. The only one that beats it is like Galaxy 2, which was incredible as well. But Odyssey was just smiles from start to finish. Even in the end game, you start collecting all this cool shit. You start seeing all of these memories and kind of odes to old Mario games that it's just something that no other game really has an ability to do. Like Nintendo is just so good at finding little moments like that that really make the gamer feel like they're understood and that their time is worth it. And Odyssey probably did that the best out of any game in a long time.
Odyssey.
Awesome.
There it is.
My 1B was Lost Legacy. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. That game was just so good. I couldn't put it anywhere on this list. It's so sad.
Yeah.
But-
Uncharted,
Yeah.
Lost Legacy.
It's okay.
So
Oh, yeah.
our next category, best sports and racing game. I feel sad about this because there were so many racing games that came out this year, and I didn't play hardly any of them.
You didn't.
I have them, haven't played them yet, but I went with Mario Kart because that's the one I did play a lot.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
We all chose Mario Kart.
Switch game.
Yeah.
It's a Switch
course.
game, dude.
It was cool. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I mean, we played countless number of hours. I mean, I put 30 hours into that at least, which, me, I don't do that. So that happened and it was great. So that's my pick. Yeah. Louise, what was your pick for best sports and or racing game?
So if I had I guess I probably could. Devin put Overwatch for best multiplayer. I'd probably put Rocket League back here again because Rocket League is just on another level. I'm not going to do that because that game's 2 years old now. But still, if there was like a best esport, then that would probably win. I didn't put Mario Kart because I played it on the Wii U, and I think giving it to a deluxe version of a game is kind of shorthanding or cheating the category of sports racing. But I can understand why someone would put it. It's a fantastic game. I put Pyre because, for all intents and purposes, Pyre, which was basically my indie game of the year, is a sports game. Like it's 3v3 basketball / football. It's just weird, interesting, probably never done before take on sports that I've never seen in a game. And I thought for the time that I played it, it's replayable as hell, but I was just interested in playing the basketball portion. Like I thought the story was great and the art direction was great as well. But Pyre, man, just this weird 3v3 high stakes little sports indie game, and I don't think in the history of video games from now forward, I guess, will we see anything like it. Yeah, you have your Dotas and stuff like that, but those are, I'd hardly call that a sport in the traditional sense of a sport, whereas Pyre is exactly that. I'm pretty sure they say the word sport in there at some point when referencing the triumvirate and all that kind of stuff. But sports racing, man, it's always a tough category. I'm surprised, Brett. I can't believe you didn't play Forza Horizon or any of those, man.
Well,
think
Forza
we're all
Horizon didn't
surprised.
come out this year. It was Forza Motorsport.
Sorry, Motorsport.
Yeah, I wanted to get Motorsport. I was going to pick that up, but I didn't get to it. I do have Dirt 4 and Project Cars 2 now, but not enough time to properly rate it. And I didn't want to give a rating to a game that I haven't quite played yet. So it's like, well, I'm gonna hold off on that.
Agreed.
But I'm sure I think Dirt 4 is pretty high up there from what I've read. That's got some good ratings. So I'm excited to play that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Sure.
Good stuff. Rally games, man. All right. So next category is best mobile game. There was no Pokemon Go this year, so that's out of it. But there were some contenders, and I went with South Park Phone Destroyer.
Yeah, me too.
It was amazing.
It was.
And I still play it on my phone when I'm, going to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's literally not a phone destroyer, but a toilet destroyer.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I hate you.
Where's that rap for? But it's really good. I haven't bought any microtransactions. Very proud of that. It's a proud moment for me, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah.
Cool.
Louise, you have a different one, and I've played this and I like it, but I want to hear your thoughts.
It's very popular apparently.
Yeah, it revived Animal Crossing and brought it to the audience that it sort of deserves to be a part of. Animal Crossing, it's a good game. I don't think that I love Phone Destroyer. Like I still kind of play it from time to time.
Yeah.
I don't think it was inventive really in any way.
Right.
I think there are tons of games just like it, and there's better ones. In fact, much better ones. If I'm going to play a card game, I'd rather just play Hearthstone on my phone or something. That said, Animal Crossing it's everything that someone wants on a phone. There's day-to-day things to do. There's things to collect. There's friends to be kind of social with. Whereas a game like Phone Destroyer doesn't really take those aspects of mobile and play with them, which I think is to its detriment. Animal Crossing is on the phones of people who don't play mobile phone games or have never seen Animal Crossing. Kids love it. It's extremely accessible. It's exactly what it needs to be for a mobile game. It's not anything more. It's not anything less. And they constantly bring content to it. And I just think it's perfect, man. I think it does what it needs to do. Whether or not it's a phone game I'll play for the rest of my life, probably not. Or get super addicted to. Although I will say I'm playing it as we speak. I just loved it, man. I thought this was the perfect platform to bring Animal Crossing to, and I don't stand corrected at all. I think more and more people are going to continue to play it, and it really hasn't gotten the like social media, all that kind of stuff push, but people are talking about it, man. It's been in the news for a while.
Yeah, I played a little bit of it. I haven't gone too far into it, but it's got a neat concept, and I really like the way it looks. And I just got the new iPhone X, and seeing that game on the iPhone X is like mind-blowingly pretty. It's so nice because it's just like crystal clear, beautiful graphics.
Okay.
I'm like, it's so good. But I still like South Park just because it's South Park. I mean, that's a lot of the reason I chose South Park, the Phone Destroyer, is because of South Park.
If you love South Park, you're gonna like this
so
game.
that's where that came through. But anyway, next category, best DLC. We didn't do much DLC this year, but Devin has a pick that he wants to share. This is probably this is his soul. And
the ending of your soul.
Literally.
Yeah. As far as DLCs go, 2017 brought about the end of an era. Dark Souls 3 came out with the Ring City, and it brought everything to a close, and it wrapped it up in a nice, neat bow, and it was just the perfect kind of DLC that Dark Souls needed to send it on its way.
It's gone.
Sad day.
It's gone.
Man.
Sad day.
Dude, rumors, PSX, Bloodborne 2 announcement. Woo! It's almost all but confirmed.
Just don't tease me.
It might be happening. I know.
Better.
We'll see. That's good. I'm glad.
Let's move on.
I'm glad you liked it. That's really awesome. So the next category we have, actually the next three categories we have are a little bit different. So we have biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, and the last one's going to be most anticipated. So I want to put biggest surprise and disappointment in the same conversation. So we'll just like say those, and then we can kind of talk about. We'll go around the table, say what they are, and then discuss them because we've already discussed in depth with these.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm looking at. So Devin, go for it. Biggest surprise and biggest disappointment.
Biggest surprise is Overwatch. Just after all this time, the game is still being fresh. It feels new. It feels great. It's still playing well. People are still playing it. It's still cheap. It's still making money. It is such a surprise, that a pleasant surprise being in this game, even with its few faults that some may have. It is still delivering an incredible experience for a huge fan base. New characters, new maps, new retooled characters. It's hands down amazing. It is what most companies should be doing.
Like
Such
your biggest
as
disappointment.
my biggest disappointment being Star Wars Battlefront 2, that giant
Game of the year. Game of the year.
Oh, absolutely not. There's really not much else to be said. We've already beat this down.
Look at the last
far as
like,
we,
5 podcasts.
yeah, the last 5 podcasts. Hell, earlier on this very podcast itself, EA has lost $3 billion in share revenue. So, you know, Star Wars is a franchise near and dear to my heart, my absolute favorite franchise of all time, of any medium. And to see this take a hit has been bittersweet, to say the least. So here it is,
Awesome.
Star Wars.
Very nice.
EA.
Austin, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment.
So obviously,
Go.
biggest disappointment, Star Wars Battlefront 2. And my biggest surprise was his EA debacle on how it didn't seem like anything was going to change like usual. People make a ruckus and nothing really happens. They're like, oh, we're sorry. But then as Goliath was hit in the face by a rock, they took a huge hit with the $3 billion loss.
Let's do an AMA on Reddit.
Complete shit show. No matter what they did, they couldn't bounce back.
Recover. The chief financial officer even coming out and making a statement saying, we're not going away from microtransactions. All right, $3 billion in losses.
Because it's not canon, or it wouldn't support canon. So yeah, they took a $3 billion loss. This is my biggest surprise, that us as a community, as a whole, were able to speak up and actually make change. And I, like I said in the podcast before, this is the only industry where you can raise hell and within days things change. So that's
There we
my
go.
biggest surprise.
Louise, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment. What do you got?
Biggest surprise. Saying it's a surprise is one thing. I mean, I guess I could put it there. Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I knew it was going to be good because I believe in Nintendo, and I think the concept when it came out, I think it was revealed in October. It's already been a year since it was revealed. I think it's just been a hit in ways that a lot of people didn't think was possible. You know, there's other games, for example, when we get to it, like PUBG was ridiculous this year. I'd say even maybe PUBG could fall into this category, but the Nintendo Switch is in the hands of people I never really thought. I mean, you see on Twitter all the time people, like famous people with their Nintendo Switches. You see like sports teams playing Nintendo Switch. You see kids, adults.
I personally did not expect to see this kind of success or enjoyment out of the Nintendo Switch. So,
No,
I mean,
not at all.
You're right.
Yeah, it's I'm still surprised in how it's growing and how quickly people are scrambling to get games on it. I still hope that by the end of the year, Netflix and other apps like that come to it, because I think that would round it out as a device, unless they're preparing it for, I don't know, springtime when everyone has one at that point. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see where it continues to go to. I think it can only go up. Hopefully, nothing really happens along the way that derails it. But the Nintendo Switch, man, it's gonna outsell the Wii U in its first few months.
I'm happy for him.
Heck yeah. So my biggest surprise is going to be the Switch, in that not necessarily just the system itself, but in that we did not expect that 2017 was going to be the year that this would shine. And it has. We went from like, we have one game.
When does a console release have such a successful year in its first year of launch?
Yeah. And it was crazy because we're like, yeah, I mean, this is going to be good, but we don't know what games are coming out. Like, we got like Mario and stuff like that, but they ramped up slow. And then it was just like this, like the bell curve
Good
thing. It was
tidal
just
wave.
like going up and up and up. And all of a sudden it's just like going crazy. And I hope next year is just the same, but even
Absolutely.
bigger.
And it's been a madhouse of people rushing out to get a Switch.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
it's amazing.
Fuck.
It's a conversation big time of the year for sure. Biggest disappointment is Battlefront 2. I still like the
Shocker.
game. I enjoy playing it, but just it's not what I hoped it would be. It's better, but it's not quite to where it needs to go. So that's my biggest disappointment. So go back to previous podcasts to hear more on that subject. Last thing we have before Game of the Year is biggest, most anticipated thing for 2018, specifically video game.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, Austin,
Yes.
start with you.
Okay. Just like the PlayStation train I've been on, it's been mostly running on the games I wasn't able to play for the PlayStation 3. And they're making this, I guess you can consider it a sequel. God of War.
Yeah.
A continuation.
A sequel to the epic saga that is God of War.
Never really got to play those games. I jumped into God of War 3 remastered a little bit, but really haven't got to really enjoy it fully. So this completely, new story, new storyline with new characters, new enemies, and I can't wait to dive into it. Especially it's going to be in 4K, so fuck yes.
I don't even know. Luis, you had the same thing.
Yeah. Luis.
Sorry, what was that? I was looking at my phone.
Playing Animal Crossing.
Destroyer.
You chose
I was,
you chose
actually.
God of War as well.
Yes, I did. God of War needed a facelift, and it just from what we've seen so far and the pieces of gameplay, the voice acting, the story elements, and of course the way it looks like that revamp has been extremely successful. Whether or not it delivers, I guess remains to be seen. I don't have any doubts necessarily about that. I'm guessing it'll get 8.5s at least. But I think there's a lot riding on it too, as the big game for PlayStation to start off the year. There's definitely plenty of other games that are coming out. Spider-Man will be coming out. Of course, Days Gone are coming out. And a few other AAA games as well. But God of War, it's got a lot riding on it, and I hope it delivers.
You've got the one that was like my 1B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear yours first.
Okay.
Tell me yours.
Days Gone, man.
Yeah.
I am jazzed as all hell for Days Gone. Ever since the trailer, like it feels like it's going to be a different kind of Last of Us that I wanted. So it's going to have the story. The trailers are getting me all ready. So this is something that I hope we see more games like Naughty Dog has done in the past.
Right.
And this one's going to be kind of right up my alley. This dark, gritty, zombie-ish style, whatever the hell these things are. It's, man,
Days Gone.
Days Gone.
Awesome.
So jazzed for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. But what I'm more looking forward to, which I'm surprised nobody else put this, Red Dead Redemption 2. That is my most anticipated game of next year. But granted, it could not come out next year. Who knows? We don't even have a date for. I mean, we know it's coming out supposedly.
We know it's coming out, but
yeah.
that's really about
Who
it.
knows? But I'm really excited because the first one was great, and this one is going to be even better. I hope, and I can't wait. So there we go.
Hell yeah.
But we have our final category. But this isn't just any category. This is our Game of the Year for 2017. We have arrived. And I am going to open up with Louise, actually, with your Game of the Year. The game that you've chosen.
Of the year.
Okay. So, as we all know, 2017 was quite possibly the most bonkers year for video games in a long time.
Very true.
We had, to start off the year, we had games like Nier Automata, we had Neo, we had Persona 5, we had Horizon Zero Dawn, a bunch of other PC games. PUBG was getting into its first sort of release at that point as well. All games that were great that we didn't even mention, but those are all 9s and 10s that I'm mentioning here. Then we had Switch coming out in March, obviously releasing with an interesting launch lineup, but has come full circle since. For me, this was basically a 1A, 1B. And as I'd mentioned as in my studio conversation, Nintendo just killed it this year. And that said, I had to decide between Zelda and Mario, and I chose Zelda. And My reasoning behind it is tough. I wouldn't say it's flawed necessarily, but it's a little bit tough. I basically based it off of what did the game do for itself, for the series, and how did it get received, and what does it do overall for the state of video games across the industry. And although Zelda, wasn't the prettiest game, or it didn't run the best necessarily. I mean, yeah, there was those rate drops like in the Korok Forest or whatever. Zelda changed and will forever change the way people see open world games and what people expect of RPGs and open world games, and your ability to really and truly be able to do whatever the hell you want to do. When I first played Zelda, I remember I played it at E3 a couple years ago, and when I played it, it was great. I loved it, but I wasn't given enough time to really let my teeth sink in. I got to try out some of the cooking and explored some of the things, heard some of the birds chirp, heard some of the orchestral music you kind of just have thrown on you in random but opportune moments, which I think probably solidifies it even more for me a little bit. But Zelda really does, it sort of defines the new meaning for open world, and it kind of is the personification of what freedom should be in a video game, because literally everything you see you can go and touch. Literally everything you see you can go and touch. If you think something can happen, it can happen. Seriously, like, I wonder what happens if I shoot fire at a tree. Oh yeah, it's gonna burn down, and oh, what, the wind's blowing, it's gonna burn down everything else next to it. That's ridiculous. Like, just small little bits and pieces, and of course injected with some little fun aspects. Of course, you can play fetch with the dog, or run around and kind of make best friends with a dog, or come across little bits and pieces and little nooks and crannies across the world. But it may not hit everything the best. For example, it's not the best RPG in my opinion from a purely RPG perspective. It doesn't have the best performance in acting or music and sound design, but when you consider all of those things, I think Zelda comes out number one. Again, very close because Mario Odyssey was up there as well. But I think Zelda, and I will see it in the next couple of years, I think Zelda has done something for the industry and for gamers that no other game this year will have done come the next couple of years, or even as soon as next year. We're going to see the fallout of Zelda very quickly, and I think it's going to be better for video games overall.
Perfect. So next up, Austin.
Yes.
What do you got for us? Game of the year 2017.
I mean, it was hard. There's a lot of good games this year, but I went with Wolfenstein purely on the characters and the narrative that have been put in place by this game, and the small moments, intimate moments between your comrades and your enemies, and getting to know BJ Blazkowicz even deeper. Made me proud to be an American. Made me feel lots of things, and I could probably play this game every year, and just every mode just gets me pumped and jazzed. And it was hard because Legend of Zelda, God, so good. Like, just the new, just that new world that you can go and explore. And obviously, I put more hours into Legend of Zelda than I have Wolfenstein. You could play Legend of Zelda way more than you can Wolfenstein, but it's those small things, those small intimate moments within this game that you don't see in a lot of games, and you get to see it here. And it might be just one of those blue moon things, which I hope it's not. And I think next year we're going to see a lot of these. I think some better narratives, especially by PlayStation games. So, yeah, that's why it's my game of the year.
Perfect. Well, I think I'm gonna do mine, and then I'll have you end with your game of the year, because I just changed mine like a few minutes ago. But it was with good reason.
Okay,
so
all right.
I was gonna put PlayerUnknown's Battleground simply because of the conversation that it created this year and how it created this whole genre. But then when I think of what game of the year means, I look at it as the overall presentation, the package that it delivers. And PUBG was severely flawed in so many ways, and it's still flawed to this day. Like, you can't even vault over a wall still, and it's been out for
damn these
7
chest
months
high
or whatever.
walls.
So like things like that make it not there, but it's definitely something that I think should be considered because of how much impact it had on the gaming industry as a whole. But I switched mine to Super Mario Odyssey because if you look at that game from front, like throughout, like that package is damn near perfect. Because I mean, I can't think of a flaw with that game other than the fact that I'm bad at it sometimes because it's a challenging platformer game. But I mean, they did so many things right, and I wanted to give it to Zelda, but Zelda didn't grip me as much as everybody else. It's just that game is not fully my style. I love and respect
Nintendo
everything,
Skyrim.
like what Luis said with how the world, just you can do anything. Like that's so cool. But Odyssey is it is fantastic in so many ways, and they just got it right. So that's my game of the year.
Heck yeah, man. All right.
Well, thanks for stealing my thunder, asshole.
Sorry.
My game of the year is Star Wars Battlefront 2. No, absolutely not. There's no way in hell. No, mine was Mario Odyssey. This was a rejuvenation. The Switch this year has rejuvenated so many different franchises and just given them a new life that is going to change the video game industry as a whole. And Mario Odyssey is no exception. It was great with soundtrack. It is great with gameplay. You see all these fun characters. You have all these fun mechanical ways to play the game of collecting purple coins, moons, outfits, stickers to go on your Odyssey, as well as the souvenirs that go inside of it. I would just love to go into my Odyssey and change my character's outfit, change Mario's outfit in the Odyssey, because
It's
there's
pretty
all
fun.
that stuff in there.
Yeah, it's very fun.
It was so much fun. And again, I go back to my review where the game thanked me for playing it in a way that made me feel truly appreciated as a gamer. At the very end, the darker side of the moon level, as hard as that whole platforming was, just the end of it, they say thank you, and you and Cappy share a moment. Man, just that was it. That was the cherry on top, and just nailed game of the year.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, that's it, guys. That's our game of the year for 2017.
All right.
That is everything. We covered a lot of games. However, there were just so many this year that we couldn't talk about. So if there's any game that you've been wanting to play that you just don't know if you want to get it, we've pretty much covered the majority of the heavy hitters this year. So go back to our archives of podcasts and just look through the titles. You'll see what we've talked about. Throw that on, listen to it, see what you think, and then make the decisions for yourself. And if you guys have something that want to share your game of the year with us, let us know. If you disagree with something that we had in here,
Put it down in them there comments.
let us know in the comments. It'll be awesome. If you want to watch the video segment of this, check it out at youtube.com/theinnergamer. In addition, if you are watching, don't forget to head over to theinnergamer.net to catch our full podcast episode for our weekly game impressions and top headlines from the week. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to keep up with all the latest video game news and opinions that you care about.